Taj in Villefranche-sur-Mer, a small coastal town where her grandparents had taken refuge. She'd escaped Germany just in time. The Nazis had closed the art academy where she'd been one of the few Jewish students allowed to study. The villa overlooked the Mediterranean. Sunlight, color, the illusion of safety. But Charlotte brought darkness with her. Her grandmother, the one who'd raised her after her mother died, was suffering from severe depression. Within weeks of Charlotte's arrival, her grandmother walked into the sea and drowned herself. Charlotte's grandfather, devastated, finally told her the truth he'd hidden for years. Her mother hadn't died of influenza in 1926, as Charlotte had been told. She'd thrown herself from a window when Charlotte was 9 years old. And there was more. Charlotte's aunt, her mother's sister, had also died by suicide. So had other relatives on her mother's side. A pattern of despair stretching back generations. Her grandmother's death, her grandfather revealed, was just the latest in a family haunted by what they never spoke about. Charlotte was 23 years old, trapped in occupied France, carrying the weight of this inheritance. She could feel it inside her, the pull toward the same darkness that had claimed so many before her. And she made a choice. She would paint her way out. Between 1941 and 1942, Charlotte Salomon created one of the most extraordinary works of the 20th century. She called it Leben or Theater, life or theater, a question that captured everything she was grappling with. Was life worth living? Or was it all just performance, tragedy playing out on repeat? Over 18 months working in a small room, Charlotte produced more than 1,300 gouache paintings. She painted her childhood in Berlin, her mother's suicide, her time at art school, the web of complicated relationships that had shaped her. She painted her family's history of suicide, the depression that stalked her bloodline, the Nazi persecution that drove them from their home. She painted opera scenes and intimate moments. She added text, dialogue, narration, stage directions. She suggested music should accompany certain sequences, writing song titles in the margins. It was a Gesamtkunstwerk, a total work of art, combining painting, text, and music into something entirely new. Charlotte created a visual opera, her despair into color. The paintings are stunning, expressionist figures in bold gouache washes, faces sometimes rendered with just a few economical lines. Compositions that feel both childlike and sophisticated. She painted herself as the protagonist, calling her character Charlotte Kahn, and turned her life into a story, with heroes, villains, and impossible choices. She painted obsessively, urgently, like someone racing against time. Because she was. In 1942, Charlotte met Alexander Nagler, an Austrian refugee. They fell in love, married in June 1943. By then, the situation in southern France had deteriorated catastrophically. Italy had initially controlled the region, but when Italy surrendered in September 1943, German forces took over. Jews in the south of France were no longer protected, even by the fiction of Vichy neutrality. Before the danger became unescapable, Charlotte took her paintings. She'd ultimately selected about 769 from the larger body of work, and gave them to a friend, Dr. Georges Merides, a local doctor. "Keep these safe," she told him. "It is my whole life." On September 21, 1943, German police arrested Charlotte and Alexander. They were held in Nice, then transferred to Drancy, the notorious transit camp outside Paris. On October 7, 1943, they were deported to Auschwitz on Transport 60. Charlotte Salomon arrived at Auschwitz-Birkenau 5 months pregnant. She was 26 years old. The historical record is sparse, but the outcome is certain. Charlotte was murdered, likely within days of arrival. Pregnant women were sent immediately to the gas chambers. Alexander Nagler was also killed at Auschwitz. Charlotte's grandparents, who'd been arrested in February 1944, were deported on the final transport from Drancy. They died in Auschwitz as well. For years after the war, no one knew Leben or Theater existed. Dr. Merides had kept Charlotte's paintings safe, hidden, through the remainder of the occupation. But he didn't know what to do with them. Inside were nearly 800 paintings, his daughter's entire. He donated them to the Jewish Historical Museum, and largely unknown for decades. In 1961, the art historian Emil Strauss began researching Charlotte's work. He helped publish a selection of the paintings in 1963. Slowly, the world began to discover what Charlotte had created. Leben, or the theater, is now recognized as one of the most important artistic testimonies of the Holocaust. It's been exhibited worldwide: Amsterdam, Berlin, New York, Los Angeles. The full sequence has been published. Scholars have written extensively about its artistic and historical significance. A musical based on the work premiered in Salzburg in 2014. A documentary was released. Books have been written